Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Co-op Podcast, episode 122. Tonight, I am your host, Richard Bailey Jr., and I'm joined by Mr. Gary A. Swaby. How's it going, Gary?
Hey, what's up, everyone? This is a very exciting show, and we're just days away from E3, and I'm excited.
Absolutely. Excitement is in the air, without a doubt. We also have Mr. Michael A. How's it going, Mike?
I'm all right, man. How's everybody doing out there listening to the show? How are all the people, and just a quick thing to say, all the people on their way to E3, that's coming up in a couple days, man, have a safe flight, have a safe trip, and prepare to be disappointed. So when that happens, you can remember in the back of your mind, oh yeah, Hated told me so. That needs to be a hashtag, actually.
Oh yeah, definitely. For those that don't know, we do have 6 of our esteemed colleagues going to E3 this year: Mr. Tony Polanco, Charles Singletary, Stephanie, James Lugo, Garrett Glass, and of course Mr. David Jagno. So I hope that you guys have a fun time out there, represent for all of us. And I mean, we'll be right here. We'll have a lot to say about the show, so make sure you stay tuned to the site all week long because we got a lot of great stuff planned. So before we jump into the topics for this week, first want to basically ask you guys what you've been playing. How about you go first, Michael A., and let us know what you've been playing. Uh-oh, technical difficulties.
You're muted, Mike.
Oh yeah, actually I'm muted. I'm an idiot. I'm sorry about that. I was sitting here talking up a storm too. Smite. I've been playing Smite like a fiend, like usual. Also, I have more codes for early access for the Xbox One version. So if you guys need some, if you guys want to give some away, hit me up. I'll give you guys some more codes. Yeah, but mainly Smite. Still trying to finish my first run of Shin Megami Tensei 4 on 3DS. That game is, oh my god, that game is so difficult. It's just very forgiving. And my Lunatic run on Fire Emblem, just because I love that game, and I'm just hyped for the new Fire Emblem that's coming out next year. And I actually got back into Destiny because my friends keep begging me to play it because of all the expansions. Because I haven't played in months. Like I hadn't played the last DLC, and then this one. I didn't play the first DLC that came out, and then I know they came out with the second one or something like that. So
House of Wolves.
Yeah, thank you. So I figured, all right, I'll give it a try. And I pretty much immediately already realized why I stopped playing the game in the first place. Like I don't understand why people play this game. And everyone's like, oh, it's so much of a story. And my friends were telling me the story of all these characters. I'm like, that's cool. Why wasn't any of that in the game? You know, like where I think you guys are just connecting dots, but they didn't even have dots. So you guys, I don't know where the story's coming from. But I mean, Destiny's still ashy to me. It's like that game could have been so good. It's not even like it's a horrible game. It's just I can't forgive a game that's supposed to be story driven and has no story. It's like me playing a basketball game and you're never on the court. You know, let's say it's all off the court stuff. It's like, well, what's the point? But yeah, that's about it. I've been slacking. I need to play some Mortal Kombat. I'll probably do that tonight. Actually, because I still need to learn that game. So I love watching that. Like I watch tournaments of Mortal Kombat all the time. Like, that's probably my favorite FGC game right now. That and Tekken 7, because Markman, shouts to him from Mad Cats. He streams. He's just started streaming now, and he streams like early builds of Tekken 7 for everybody to see. So the game's looking pretty impressive. Like that and Mortal Kombat, like the two most beautiful fighting games I think I've seen in terms of just pure cosmetics and the fluidity of the animations and whatnot. But I mean, those are fighting games developed on next-gen hardware, so you can expect that, you know, unlike another fighting game that I saw recently. But we'll get to that later.
Well, yeah, sounds good. I have to get into Smite. I always say that I'm going to play it, but I just haven't had the opportunity to really get into it yet. So maybe I'll try it out this weekend. Give it a, get ready to get excited for everything else that I'm going to find out about on Monday. I'll go real quick, then I'll let you go, Gary. I just been playing The Witcher 3, of course. Still a great game. I mean, it's a lot to do in that game, so it's very easy to get sucked in and then just play all day long. So I'm trying to manage that a little bit better. But yeah, awesome game. I've also been playing Mortal Kombat X. Still fun. Tanya was very difficult to learn how to play as, but I'm a little bit better with her now. And of course, all the other characters in the game that are just awesome. The game looks absolutely phenomenal. I know we've said before, I know that Jake James said in his review it looks great, but really the game looks awesome. No matter how good your TV is, it looks great when you're playing it. So still a lot of fun. And last but certainly not least, I have been playing some of the Call of Duty Advanced Warfare Supremacy DLC. I will have something to say about that very soon on the site. But I mean, it's if you like zombies and you like Call of Duty, then you may enjoy some of this stuff. To me, it's just okay right now. I mean, the story itself is a little interesting because they kill off a major character and then they have another character that replaces him, another fan favorite, if you will. But I'll have more to say about that soon. Would I say that the DLC by itself is worth the price of admission? I don't know. It depends how much you like Advanced Warfare and if you want something extra. Not necessarily going to be perfect for everybody, but it is what it is. But that's pretty much all I've been playing for this week. Looking forward to Batman in about 2 weeks. No, I will not be buying the season pass because I refuse to pay $40 for a season pass. But I'll enjoy the game, and then we'll see later when the season pass drops in price whether or not I get it. But that's what I'm looking forward to now. Mr. Gary Swaby, how about you? What have you been playing?
Well, it's been a long week for me, so I haven't had much time for gaming, but I managed to fit in an hour of Witcher 3 here and there. I'm loving that game. I'm like 35 hours in now, and I still haven't gone far in the story, but I think now I'm gonna kind of just focus on getting the story stuff done so I can progress further into the game because I know there's some cool stuff to see later on. So yeah, I'm gonna do that once I get back on the game. Besides that, I actually played some Grand Theft Auto 5 this evening actually with Mr. Kennedy from the Coalition, and that was fun. We didn't do heists because here's where they drop the ball with the heists. Because the thing is, you need 4 people to complete a heist. Like you have to have 4 people. And that means you have to have 4 reliable people because if you're playing with randoms, you can't depend on these random people because if one of them drops out of the game, the entire mission stops and you have to go back to the lobby and try and start the whole mission again. And not only that, but there's also idiots in the game that will just try to sabotage the mission completely. So heist isn't really that fun if you're relying on random people and stuff, and it's kind of hard to get 4 friends to really play Grand Theft Auto 5 at the same time. So yeah, I mean that's where heist kind of fails because it's hard relying on random people to get stuff done in that game. So me and Kennedy, usually we just do random missions. We don't even play heists anymore. Like we just have fun in the lobbies and do random missions and races and stuff like that. But yeah, that game's still fun. It's still fun to play. It's just I wish the heist was implemented a little bit better to where it wasn't so annoying to try and set up a heist. But yeah, I mean that's about it. There's some new content out for that game as well. So there's some new vehicles, new clothes, new guns and stuff. I guess because so many people were getting super rich from the heists, they had to actually add some high-end items to the game so that people wouldn't be too rich anymore. So that's pretty cool that they're releasing a lot of free content in there. But really, I just want to get the game on PC, to be honest, because that PC version seems amazing, and I've seen some crazy mods already that I want to try out. But I'll definitely keep the PS4 version for those that want to play it. So just hit me up if you ever want to play.
Wait, so let me ask a quick question before we move on to the topic. So what you were saying now, Gary, is that just like you did with another game, which we all know, Final Fantasy, you saying that you would buy this game on PC even though you already have it on PlayStation 4, and you bought it on PlayStation 3, correct?
Yep. I mean, there's a few IPs that I'd make an exception for, with buying multiple versions, and obviously Final Fantasy was one, and Grand Theft Auto is one. But I actually do plan on selling the PS3 copy, even though it's probably not worth much right now. But just to get a couple more pounds in my pocket, I'll probably get rid of that version. But yeah, I'll buy it again because, in my opinion, it seems worth it. Like the level of quality and detail in the PC version seems incredible. So for that alone, I would definitely get it.
Sounds good. Was it what you say?
Gary, he's part of the problem. The people buying multiple versions.
Oh.
I mean, like I said, it's only a few IPs I'd do that for. Like, I would, like God of War 3. I'm not buying that again. Like, who wants to play that again on PS4?
Oh, that's awesome, man! It's gonna be 1080p and 60 frames per second, so it's worth picking up again, right?
On the PS3, I thought that's what the big deal was.
No, it'll look better on PlayStation 4.
I don't understand. Sorry.
But enough of that. That's what we've been playing this week. We're going to jump right into the topics because there were a couple of things. Now, I would like to give a shout out to the Throwdown cast. They had another excellent show last night. They all talked about E3. We are going to talk about that towards the end of the show, but there's a couple of things that happened this week that we definitely would like to address because it's a pretty big deal. Let's start with one of the top stories. This week, a Capcom rep confirmed that Street Fighter V will never come to the Xbox One. As she stated, no version whatsoever will ever come to the Xbox One, or the Xbox 360 for that matter. Only a PC and PlayStation 4. And the next time you'll see a Street Fighter game on an Xbox console will be Street Fighter 6. So, as someone who has played Ultra Street Fighter 4, or rather, should I say, tried to play Ultra Street Fighter 4, why don't you tell us what you feel about this news, Michael A., and then I guess Gary can chime in next.
Wow, my air conditioning just came on. Can you guys hear the air conditioning in the background?
Yeah, I hear a little bit of it.
Oh, well, I'll turn it down, and hold on. All right, so this Capcom news, I mean, it doesn't shock me, honestly. When you think about what they said they were going to do with Street Fighter V, they said, and I mean, who knows, they may change their mind. They said they didn't want to run the gamut like they did with Street Fighter 4, releasing Super and then Arcade Edition and then Ultra. Like they didn't want to do that. They said that what they're going to do with Street Fighter V is they're just going to release Street Fighter V as it is, and then they'll release updates to it, but they won't call it a new edition of the game. It'll just be an update to Street Fighter V and charge people for like an expansion, I suppose. And I mean, honestly, they might as well do that. It makes sense. Other genres of games have already been doing that. Why not them? So I'm fine with that. As far as it never coming to Xbox, I mean, the damage with Street Fighter on Xbox was already done when they announced that it wasn't coming. The first version wasn't coming. Like even if there was a Super Street Fighter V or an Ultra Street Fighter V, and that wasn't the Xbox, nobody would care, because the people who really, really love Street Fighter like that would have already got it on PC or PS4. Tournaments would have already been running the PC or PS4 version. Probably the PS4 version, just because it'll be easier to set up right now, at least. Even though I promise you the PC version will run better, because the PC version of pretty much all fighting games like run better. It's just, I guess it's harder to set up. But then again, that's a different discussion. I predict that in the future, PC will be the standard for fighting game tournaments because you can use pretty much all fight sticks on it. There won't be an issue of, I have the Xbox version of fight stick, or I have a PS4 fight stick. No, you can just use any fight stick that USB compatible. But honestly, I don't see this as something that's going to change the landscape of anything, really. I mean, I love fighting games. I love the fighting game community, but the honest truth is the fighting game community is a niche genre amongst niche genres. Like, it's small. So it's not like this is going to be a game changer for consoles I mean, Sony's already doing well console sales wise now. Street Fighter V isn't going to widen the gap or anything like that. They're just going to. This is more par for the course for them. Microsoft isn't losing too much because while they probably would want Street Fighter on their console, it's not to the extent that they're going to try and shell out a lot of extra money for it because it's, again, a niche genre. Like, it's not one of those genres that moves systems. So, and they already have their own fighting games. They have KI. Mortal Kombat comes on both consoles. Tekken will most likely come on both consoles. And I know Guilty Gear came only on PS4 and PS3, but they announced the new BlazBlue game that's coming out will be on the Xbox One. So, I mean, the Xbox One isn't going to... There will be tons of fighting games to play on the Xbox One. You just won't be able to play Street Fighter. And sales-wise, surprisingly enough, that's not that big of a hit. Mortal Kombat sells very well. Tekken sells very well, so it doesn't really matter. But for the FGC-wise, I mean, if you're a person who doesn't have a PS4 and you want to play Street Fighter, you better go get a PC because this isn't coming to Xbox. You got to realize that's a fact. I was annoyed by the decision before as a fan of fighting games because I don't like to see the entire console community left out of the dark in a game. Like, I didn't like while I understood that Microsoft owned Killer Instinct and it's their game, even now I'm still sitting here thinking like you should at least put that game on PC, give more people opportunity to play the game. You know, same thing with Street Fighter. But it is what it is, you know. Or I mean, Street Fighter is on PS4, but it's the fact that people who don't want to buy a PS4 and don't have a PC to run that game have no real way of playing it. The arcade scene in America is pretty much done. It's not even like they can go to arcades to practice the game. You just have to, regardless of the way it is. If you have an Xbox One and you want to play Street Fighter, you're either coming out of $400 to get a PS4 or more to get a PC. It's your choice. So, yeah, I do respect Capcom though for coming out and like removing any doubt and killing the rumors. Like, I'm seeing a lot of companies doing that now with rumors that people are spreading, and it's like, no, we're not going to let that fly anymore. And this needs to become more of the standard in gaming. That sites with like quote unquote insiders that come out putting out rumors and stuff like that. Let that stuff die. That needs to fade away. Like, that's not real journalism. That's just nonsense. And Capcom came out and said, "Oh, we hear people saying, oh, it's Super Street Fighter V." No, this is how it's going to be. So I give kudos to Capcom for that. The fighting game community will have to adjust, and that's just the reality of the situation. Sony put up the money for the franchise. If not for Sony, there wouldn't be a Street Fighter V, from my understanding. So they deserve this. So let it rock. But me, I'm not a big Street Fighter head anymore anyway. So Street Fighter V not being on Xbox. I mean, I have a PS4, and I will have a PC that can run it by the time that game comes out. So I have options to get it. I'm not going to though, just because I don't really like what I've seen of it so far. And other fighting games have come out now that look better. So that's me personally. But for those who love Street Fighter or only know about Street Fighter in terms of fighting games, you better have a PS4 or PC. That's all I can tell you.
All right, so sounds good. What do you think, Gary?
Well, for our long-time listeners, you might remember a certain guy named Ruthless Kid, aka Kieran Blackman, and I was actually on the phone to him like exactly 2 days ago, and you know, he was saying, "Oh, I think Capcom are gonna release Street Fighter V on Xbox One. They're probably gonna release an Ultra Edition, and you know, blah blah blah." And I actually agreed with him. I was like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll probably do something like that, because it kind of seems like Capcom is something they would do." But you know, now that this news has come out, I'm like, wow, I guess that's that rumor over with. So, I mean, it seems like Sony must have invested a lot of money into this game, so which is smart on their behalf. But like Michael A. said just a moment ago, I feel like fighting games should always be on every platform, because it just, like, fighting games are just that type of game that everybody should be playing, like, especially since they're so popular at tournaments and stuff. I feel like the game should be accessible to anybody, you know, no matter what platform you own. So I guess it's a bad move for the tournament scene, because, you know, it's forcing people to buy, you know, either a PS4 or a PC. But you could also argue, you could play devil's advocate and say that, Sony is kind of leading the race at the moment. So, hey, why not? I mean, most people have a PS4 anyway. More people have PS4s than Xbox One. So maybe it's not such a bad thing because, you know, that's the leading console at the moment. And as far as PC gaming goes, PC gaming is growing too. And a lot of people have gaming PCs now. And, obviously, Michael A., you mentioned the controllers and stuff, the ease of use with the controllers, the compatibility and everything. So that's another factor in it. So really, maybe it's not such a bad thing because a lot of people have those two platforms anyway. But I would still argue that, fighting games should be on all platforms by default. I mean, Killer Instinct is a rare case because Microsoft actually own that IP. So, that's theirs to, have on their system. And Sony doesn't have their own fighting game, do they?
No. Well, PlayStation All-Stars.
Yeah, that barely counts. But yeah, so I guess this is why they made the move, because they don't have anything that can stand up to Killer Instinct. So it was smart on Sony's part. So I gotta give them props for that.
All right, I'd like to make a statement. I noticed that both of you mentioned Killer Instinct, and I know that that's on the Xbox One. But I'm gonna just keep it real right now. That game, the way that they handled that game, absolutely horrible. I mean, that's the one thing. When it got announced, it was cool. But the way they handle it, where they're releasing characters, I understand the business perspective of doing that to keep adding fresh content to the game and the different seasons, and then you finally adding a story mode and all this other stuff. But I'm not a fan with how they did that at all. Last time I tried to play the game, didn't work properly. There's a lot of things that were broken in the game. There's always updates where they fix stuff, just as with any game. But I just want to say, if you want to say that, if you're going to compare this game and you're going to, right next to what Sony is doing with Street Fighter V, I think Sony wins that hands down convincingly. I mean, I don't know any fan that will listen to this podcast or respond later and say, oh yeah, Killer Instinct is an excellent game. Way better than the Street Fighter V. Nah, son, I would have to stop you right there because the game has some issues. With that said, I give Sony a lot of credit for, pulling off this move. It was a smart move for them to do, obviously, and just to know that it won't be on the Xbox One. There's probably some people that are going to be a little upset about that. But again, let me just say this, and I'm not going to say this, because I'm trying to divert from make up a big lie, but I have to keep it real here, okay? If this game came to Xbox and they said it is not going to be on the PlayStation 4, that there's a lot of fans would be pissed. You will see them protesting for this game to come to PlayStation 4. So this is where the double standard comes in, because I haven't heard too many people complain with this news, oh, it's not going to Xbox One, well, whatever. But if it was on the other side, where, oh, it's not coming to PlayStation 4, it will be a field day. You know this, because look at how Tomb Raider was handled. When you heard that Tomb Raider was coming as a holiday exclusive to Xbox One, people were just, they were livid. And they kept saying, no, it has to come to PlayStation 4. It has to come to PlayStation 4. So that right there is a true fact. And I don't think anyone would deny that. You already know if this was the other way around, a lot of people would just be livid, and they would try and make sure that the game did as much as possible to make sure that they voiced their concerns when the game ended up on the other console. But in this case, again, I give Sony props. Now, one thing I did want to ask, because I think we all saw the gameplay footage of M. Bison and Ryu. So, what did you think of the gameplay, Michael A.? Because we spoke about this before we started recording.
Me personally, yeah, I'm not feeling it. I felt kind of, and this is probably partially my fault. I was really disappointed when I found out that the parry that I assumed was going to be in the game and gave me hope for maybe wanting to try it out was going to be something that only Ryu could do. Like, it's not even a standard. Like in Third Strike, it's his I think it's V skill. That I don't. Why would you just change? The game essentially operates the same way, but you changed the names of everything. V skill, V trigger. Why not just call it Ultra Attack? Like, that's what it is essentially. Why not just call it a Super? That's what it is essentially. It's just now you added this one tiny tweak where it's like each character has a trait, which is funny because when Injustice did that, that was whack, right? Who wants traits and stuff like that in fighting games? That's corny. That's a gimmick. Street Fighter's doing it now. Oh, it's awesome. All right, let's thumbs up. Why would you not go all the way with the with pairing? But then I'm just like I love Third Strike, so maybe that's I'm biased in that regard. Animation wasn't smooth, but hey, the game isn't out yet. It doesn't come out till next year, if I remember correctly. So they have time to work on all this kind of stuff. The graphics are nice. I'm not saying it's as nice as what I've seen from Mortal Kombat, and it's definitely not touching Tekken because oh my god, that game. But the graphics are nice. It's definitely next gen looking. Is it a huge leap from what I saw in Street Fighter 4? No. But then again, that maybe it's a testament to the fact that Street Fighter 4 wasn't an ugly game. Like I never thought Street Fighter 4 was an amazing looking game, but it wasn't bad. So I think it's a logical transition to new next gen hardware. It's still technically early next gen hardware in a development lifestyle. We're only 2 years in. It'll come out in the third year, so it's not bad. And like I said, they have time, so then maybe the animations will get cleaned up. Though there were some cool looking things, though, and I know this is going to sound like I'm repeating myself. I'm sorry, when they showed Ryu pairing fireballs and pairing everything, that looked amazing. Like that looked really cool. I really like what they're doing with Charlie's character. Actually, Charlie looks like he's going to be a character I might, if I ever try that game, he'd be the character so far I'd use. Especially since so far they haven't revealed Ken. And I don't know how you can have a Street Fighter game with Ryu and Chun-Li and Bison, but not Ken. Like, you can't really do that. Ken's been in... Actually, he's been in every Street Fighter game that Ryu's been in. So, he kind of has to be there. Like, he was in the original game as a palette swap. So, I mean, he's there. He's a character. He should be there. Hopefully they announce him soon. But yeah, I'm not really impressed with the game, and it's partially just A, because of what I've seen, and B, just because I'm not really a big fan of Capcom anymore. I'll be honest, like, and I admit that that's clouding my judgment a little bit. But I gotta be honest with people. I can't lie to the people. You know what I mean? I just don't like Capcom as of late in terms of what they've been doing, decision-wise, like how they handled the whole Street Fighter Cross Tekken DLC. What they did with Street Fighter 4 on PS4, which, by the way, they have recently released an update. The second update came out, I believe, last week, or earlier this week, and the input lag has been greatly improved. I think the input lag is like at 6 frames per second or 5 point. Like, it's below. It's still not as good as the 360 or PC version, but it's better than the PS3 version. So it's. I guess they should say that it's the definitive version of Street Fighter 4 if you've only played Street Fighter on a PlayStation console. If you play it on 360 or PC, no, it's not even close to the fucking definitive edition. But if you've only played PS3 Street Fighter 4, this is the definitive edition. Get it on PS4. So yeah, the input lag has been reduced. I'm hearing that there's still issues to the game, like menu issues and whatnot. Like, it's still not fully functional, but it is improved. So, I mean, kudos to them, I guess, for working on it. But honestly, that's not an excuse. I can't give you props for fixing something you released broken. Like, nah, should have been working when it came out. Especially when you told people that this was the definitive edition. Like, okay, what is it defining then? Garbage? Because it didn't work. Street Fighter 5 is. I mean, I'm gonna keep my eye on it. I'm gonna keep my eye on it just because it's a fighting game, and I love fighting games. I love playing them. It's not even just to be good at them. It's just like I love watching people play them, and it's more entertaining when to watch someone do something when you understand them. So a lot of times I'll play a fighting game and I'll just be in a dojo, just learning moves, learning frames. So when I'm watching people play the game at a high level competitively, I understand what's going on. Or when commentators are giving commentary, I understand what they're saying. Or sometimes I've been asked to commentate on people's streams when they're playing a fighting game and stuff like that, or break down matches when people are watching them. So I can do that kind of stuff. So I'll keep my eye on Street Fighter 5 just on that basis alone. But it's not like, oh, I'm hyped for it. I mean, I have a PS4 anyway. If I didn't have a PS4 now and it was like, oh, I need to get it for Street Fighter 5, I would just dock it. I got my PS4 for the hopes that Last Guardian was coming out, and maybe a new Siphon filter, which Sony, you know, you want to impress me, just out of nowhere, Siphon filter, but that's another topic. But yeah, I don't think this is gonna be. I mean, it's Street Fighter. The name alone, it'll get recognition, but I don't think this is gonna be as amazing as a lot of people are saying. Again, it's early. I'm not Miss Cleo. I can't tell you this game is gonna be bad. I can't because I don't know. It's way too freaking early. But with what I've seen right now, it's like, you know, when you watch somebody cook, and you can usually look at how they're cooking and say, oh, this seems like this is a meal I'm going to want to eat, versus like, this person just dropped like a nail in that food. I'm not eating that. That's where I'm at right now with Capcom. Like, I don't like how they're preparing this dish, so I'm not eating. But if it comes out the oven and it smells magnifique, I might have to go ahead and get the handkerchief and the spoon and fork. We'll see. Right now, I'm good. I'll order pizza. That's where I'm at with Capcom. Hashtag order pizza. So, yeah.
Hey, that sounds great. Great explanation. You have anything that you want to add, Gary? Any final words on this topic?
Well, I can't top that, but yeah, I mean, my thoughts, the animations, they definitely weren't smooth. Like, it seemed real stiff to me, and I know it's still a long way away, you know, before this game actually comes out, so we can't judge it too harshly, but I wasn't that impressed. I mean, the super moves look cool and everything, but I don't know, just the whole animation, it kind of, like, I'm so used to Mortal Kombat now, and you know that game is just like so fluid, and this just seemed really stiff to me, so I wasn't really impressed by that footage. I'm hoping they show something more at E3, or you know, even at an event later on in the year that will blow me away, because I am excited to see how, you know, the game will actually turn out. But you know, so far I'm not impressed with what I've seen.
Just to give my final thoughts, I think you will see more at E3. I think you will also see more at the PlayStation Experience later this year, because that's when they first introduced this game. That'll probably be the last time you see it before it comes out, since it's supposed to come out in the spring. So it may come out before E3 next year. But yeah, I mean, I have to agree. I like the graphics. The game looks great. If you wanted me to compare it to Mortal Kombat now, though, Mortal Kombat is the game right now. Everything about that game. Now, I'm not a fan of the way they handle some of the story stuff overall, but as far as the fighting game is concerned, it's a solid, hands down. So I believe Street Fighter has a chance to be just as great. Like you said, we're still early in the process of seeing what Capcom is doing with the game with Sony's input. So we have to wait and see how the final product turns out. But so far, I'm not going to tell you I won't pick this up. It looks intriguing. You know, we'll see what happens when that time comes, whether or not there's going to be a flood of other games that I may want to get. Then I have to make a choice about which ones I want right then and there. But I do think the game is going to be do extremely well for PlayStation. I know you said earlier, Michael A., it probably won't move consoles. I don't know if I agree with that, because the fact that it's on the PlayStation by itself and PC, I think it's going to move some consoles, especially if it's coming out in the springtime, which is around the same time Uncharted is supposed to come out. So that will be more reason for people to have a PlayStation 4 if they don't have one already, because Uncharted will be out, and then this game as well. So another compelling reason to own a PlayStation 4 or a PC for that matter. So looking forward to seeing what you know, how it turns out.
Wait, I got a question. You mentioned story, but does anyone really pay attention to the story of Street Fighter? Because I really don't know what the hell it is.
Well, no.
Very good, honestly. Like, there's been animes about it, but the animes completely contradict each other. So there's no official canon story that you can get from the anime. There's an official canon story that you can garner just like looking online and remember, and like the stuff that's been consistent so far in the games in terms of like things like instruction manuals and endings, like via beating the game and stuff like that, and official words from Capcom. But no, the Street Fighter story is horrible. But the funny thing is, the Street Fighter story isn't even the worst story in fighting games. It's just horrible in comparison to like something like Mortal Kombat. where it actually makes sense. Like, it's on par with Guilty Gear's story. Guilty Gear has an actual story. In fact, the last Guilty Gear came with an anime that was like a 4-hour anime that you would watch to tell the story. And I watched it, and it was horrible. So, yeah, it's on par. It's like fighting games, other than Street Fighter and Injustice, they have a long way to go in terms of making a good story. Like, even my favorite, Virtua Fighter, that game story, it's like, who the hell really knows it? I don't. I know who wins the tournament supporting the canon, and that's about it. Because they don't really do a good job with the story mode. So, I can't just fault Street Fighter for that.
And one...
Oh, go ahead.
One quick thing I was going to say to reply to what you said about the story, I was talking about the story with Mortal Kombat, because this Mortal Kombat game that just came out, story is a lot shorter than it was in the last game. And the way that they handled the last game is that they also allowed you to play as the villains, which you didn't hardly do in this game, which I didn't like. That was the only complaint I had about the game. Other than that, everything else was cool. I just wish it was.
Yeah, I know you was referring to Mortal Kombat. I just wanted to make that point about Street Fighter, because although Mortal Kombat X had its flaws with the story mode, yeah, I feel like they're still one of the best story driven fighting games out there.
Oh,
so
no doubt about that. You're absolutely correct about that one. Yeah, but we'll see what happens. I mean, hey, you're still going to be picking up Street Fighter V, right? I mean, it's not going to be regional locked like Mortal Kombat was. Is it?
No, it better not be.
Yeah, so we'll see. So yeah, if you guys watching, you have any thoughts on Street Fighter V, leave us, let us know what you think about this move in the comment section. You think this is going to be a big deal for PlayStation 4? And just let us know how you feel about it in the comments. We're going to move on to the next topic. Probably won't have much to say on this topic because I didn't watch this conference because I had work when it was going on. But Oculus held a conference, I guess you could say, or they had something the other day where they basically talked about the Oculus Rift. They announced that an Xbox One controller would come with the system, but they still haven't yet talked about the system itself. They did announce a few games that are coming to the system. I know Insomniac Games is working on a game exclusively for the Oculus Rift, which sounds interesting. But what are you guys' thoughts on the Oculus Rift? It's supposed to come out sometime early next year. There's no date yet. I'm assuming we'll get some more information about this at E3. But are you impressed with the lineup of games they talked about, or are you excited for the device? How about you go first, Gary?
Yeah, I'm actually really excited for it now. I got to try out the Oculus for the first time last year, and I really like it. And since then, I've read a novel called Ready Player One, which is all about like VR stuff. So that's got me even more excited for VR, kind of. And I think they could do a lot with Oculus. I think Project Morpheus is probably going to be more restrictive because it's for the PlayStation platform. But Oculus, it seems like there's going to be a ton of software to support it when it drops. So I'm really interested to see how far people can take this technology. And the fact that it's coming with an Xbox One controller is pretty cool because I am a PC gamer. And if I do get an Oculus, more than likely I'll be using it with the PC. So, does it support the consoles, like both consoles? I'm not too sure on that at the moment.
Consoles.
So what?
What do you mean by does it support both consoles?
Like, can you use Oculus on PS4 and Xbox One?
Oh, that I have no idea. That's a good question. I imagine no. Just like I don't think Morpheus will be on both consoles. That'll probably be PS4, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, so Oculus is pretty much a PC-only thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not really 100% sure about that. I do believe it. Yeah, that's probably the safest assumption to have. But as I said, I didn't really catch the conference they had yesterday, so I don't really know too much information. I guess Tuesday, when they have the PC conference, they'll talk more about that. But yeah, continue with what you were saying.
Yeah, I think they definitely need to make a big splash at E3. You know, they need to let us know how much this thing's going to cost, and you know, give us a solid release date or release window or something, because they've got a lot of work to do as far as marketing this thing. Because I don't feel like this whole VR thing is going to catch on right away, you know, with the mass audience and everything. So I feel like a lot of educating people needs to be done, a lot of marketing, a lot of promotion. And I mean, they've got Facebook behind them now, so I'm sure they can get that done. Um, but yeah, I don't see VR taking off quickly, to be honest. But I do think that they're able to do some cool stuff with it.
Uh, so I would like to make a response to that, and then I'll let Michael A. give his thoughts. I think that I think it's very possible for VR to take off, but I really think that the games are going to be what pushes that forward. I know Adrift is a game that you know, Tony got a chance to see not too long ago, and you know, I guess the experience of playing it with the Oculus Rift brings it to another level. So again, I think it's about the games that are being made for the device that will, you know, basically push it forward as far as convincing people, yes, this is something you need to have and want to invest in. As you know, with most technology, you know, some of the first, you know, the first versions of stuff doesn't really work properly. It takes, you know, a couple iterations for something to become refined to a point where it works flawlessly. So I do know some people are probably not going to pick this up on day one whenever it does come out. But I do agree they definitely have to push forward and have a lot to say about this device at E3. Because, again, if it's coming out in the spring of next year, that means it's going to come out before E3. So they have to have something, unless they're going to have another show down the road. If maybe they're going to say something at Gamescom, maybe they're going to have something, you know, towards the end of the year. Who knows? But they definitely have to have some type of presence to just let people know that, yes, we are working on this device. It is coming next year, and this is what you will get along with the price of, you know, they need to give people information. But what do you say about it, Michael A.? Any thoughts?
Well, for me personally, actually, quick segue back to the previous topic. Sorry, this is a well, not really a tangent. We were just talking about Street Fighter V. It might have just been leaked. Two characters might have actually been leaked early for Street Fighter V. Cammy White and Birdie. You know, Birdie's from Alpha 2, for those guys who don't know him. Everybody who knows who Cammy is. So they weren't supposed to be leaked yet. Apparently it came from a German gaming article speaking on Street Fighter V at E3. So I guess you know how articles are written early and then put out with information being pertinent to the time. Like they put out information before it's supposed to be put out because the articles come out later than they're written. So people got a hand on the articles before they were published, and because of that, because this magazine is supposed to come out, I think it's supposed to come out right after E3. That's where the characters are coming from. Not 100% confirmed yet. I'll link you guys to the article, so maybe they can post that on the site with the podcast. And it's in German, but you can just go to Google Translate and it'll translate it for you, or Bing Translate, or whatever you use to figure it out. Back on Oculus Rift, I just find it funny that people were so adamant to sticking to playing games on controllers and only playing games on controllers and not needing new ways of interacting with games, even though that's what I've been saying for the last 5-10 years. Gaming is going to get redundant if we just sit here and we're playing games on controller all the time. And then Kinect comes out, and people are like, it's a gimmick, it's stupid, no one needs it, no one wants it. VR is now here's virtual reality, and people are like, okay, cool, this is awesome. I'm like, no, you people just said that you don't want anything to do with anything non-controller related when it comes to gaming. Now you're choosing to be hype about something that's not a traditional controller, or is something that's in addition to a controller? Now. Not before when people were trying it now. What's so cool about it now? It's still untested technology. We have no idea if this is going to be good. And like Gary said, even if it does work, it's going to take time, and it's going to require patience on developers, on the side of the developer, on the side of publishers who are looking for financial returns, and especially on the side of gamers, you're going to have to give these people time to get acclimated with that hardware and make good software for it. Make software that is not only maybe enhanced by these forms of interaction, but perhaps even improved or exclusively designed around. And I'm not saying that it's not possible. I think it is. I think VR is clearly the future. Like it'll be a standard. I just don't know it's going to happen within 5 years. Like it'll take longer than that. But it's just funny to me how people try and do something new, and then people are saying no, we don't need that, or that's unnecessary, it's a gimmick. And then someone tries something similarly connected a little later, and then all of a sudden it's amazing. It's like, what? No, where's your people consistency? Like I don't get it. I really don't. But it's whatever. I want to know how this Oculus Rift and the Microsoft HoloLens things kind of connect. That project is interesting to me as well, just because, I mean, it's also an evolution of VR. And it's just cool to have this concept that they're trying to get to the point where we have those holodecks from, I mean, that's where the name is actually inspired, by the way, for those of you who don't know, from Star Trek. So I'm not saying that that's what it's going to be like when it comes out, obviously. Heck no. It would take tons of research and time to get to that point. But I'm saying, like, this is like, we're at the point now where we're starting to see the actual foundations for these technologies being laid down. And it's funny because when other parts of the foundation were being laid down, people wanted to shun it and say it was a gimmick. But, you know, then again, you know what, this is my fault. I keep expecting logic and consistency from people that have never displayed these traits. So I guess that's on me, because they are they're consistently inconsistent and consistently illogical, and I expect them to not be that way. So that's foolish of me. So yeah, I gotta hold that, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you bring some good points. You know, we'll see where things go with this device. You know, the HoloLens. Unfortunately, you know that the designer died in a car accident earlier this year. I know Microsoft is probably going to talk about that device at their conference.
That's what I said. Yeah.
I'm not really sure what they're going to, you know, what they intend to show as the master plan with this device. I guess we'll start to get a piece of that. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see. I know Phil Spencer has already said that he's not really wanting to jump heavily into VR just yet, but he definitely has a watchful eye on what's going on with the industry and how people are going to respond to Oculus Rift, and I think that you'll definitely see that, as well as Morpheus. You know, we will definitely hear about Morpheus at Sony's conference, because again, that's rumored to be coming out also early next spring. I don't really know how accurate that rumor is. I guess we'll find out in a couple of days when they talk about what their plans are long term. But
I thought it was going to come out soon, earlier actually than anything else. They've been developing it longer, haven't they?
Hey, that's a good question, man. I'm not sure. When I heard it at the time,
backing from like Facebook and all that stuff, like they were developing this for years.
Oh well, it very well could. I'm not sure. I guess, you know, we'll know sooner rather than later, because they have to start talking about this stuff just so it stays fresh in everybody's minds as the year goes on, and then closer to the time when it's actually supposed to come out. So we'll find out soon. Any final words on this topic?
I don't know. I like untested, so I mean, there's not a whole lot to say. But I mean,
to be determined.
Piece of it, exactly, to be determined. I agree with that. But I think there's potential. It's definitely worth giving a chance and investigating. The question is are gamers going to actually give it a chance? Are gamers going to actually show patience? Are they going to actually show an understanding of the industry, or just common sense, or any of these things that they've never shown before? Because I don't think they will. That's probably why Victor is so hesitant to just support this, because he saw what happened when they tried to support the Kinect, and people were like, no. So why would he try and support it?
Well, you know, in my personal opinion, as far as the Kinect is concerned, Microsoft never really tried to make any games for that device. The stuff, you know, we can talk about the Kinect Sports, but no, I want to see a legitimate game that makes use of Kinect.
Now Fantasia It's just that, and this actually screwed over the people who made Fantasia. The game came out a little bit after Microsoft announced, yeah, we're going to sever the Kinect being every Xbox. And then people were like, dude, we're developing a game for Kinect. You just cut our potential household share by 90% because people are just going to get the cheaper version of the console. They're not going to have Kinect.
This is true, but they've given up on the Kinect. I mean, yeah, for the home entertainment stuff, the recognition. I mean, I got to be honest. You know, the face recognition, all the other stuff. And then even when I could do something like I say Xbox on right now, it does not turn on when it needs to turn on. So it's not as perfected as it needs to be, in my personal opinion. But I guess that, you know, what I was saying before about the Kinect, though, I know there was a few games that came out where they tried to make them Kinect compatible, have certain features in there, like Mass Effect. You know, I remember they had some features in there where you could use Kinect for the game. But
and the Kinect on Mass Effect was actually really, really well done. Like, it was really well done. And that's probably the only, like that, and maybe Ghost Recon's gun mode where you can look at the guns. But that doesn't change anything because that Ghost Recon game was garbage anyway, so screw it.
Hey, well, you know, but I mean, we needed to see more of that. We needed to see more, and then we needed to see them make some actual games that make full use of the technology. I'm not talking about Kinect Sports. That's a good game for a particular audience, but I mean like a game that I would actually want to pick up and play. You know, I'd see a Kinect Sports game, be like, you know, well, that's not really my cup of tea, but if somebody will like it, enjoy it. So going back to this whole thing about the HoloLens and Oculus Rift, as I said before, I think the games are going to have to be what they sell people on. The games and the experience. Let them know why you need to have an Oculus Rift to play this game, how it is different from you sitting down in front of, you know, your TV screen and playing a game how you would normally play it. And I can say that I'll be very intrigued to see how they do that. I know when I played the Oculus Rift, the game I played was one of those space shooter games. It was okay. You know, it was somewhat comfortable, but it just felt real like it wasn't really altogether there yet. I mean, I haven't tried on the latest model that they made for the device, which is probably more comfortable by now, but when I tried it, it still felt like it was still like it still needed some work done. I mean, it was an okay experience. It wasn't something where I would say, let me go out and just spend a couple of $100 on for this because I need it. I didn't feel that. But, you know, I mean, I guess we'll see pretty much what they have as far as the future goes, what games they have coming to the device. I only have seen a list of games. There was a few trailers that came out, but, again, I haven't seen anything that would told me, well, yeah, I need to get this because the Oculus Rift is only going to be on the Oculus Rift. I didn't see that yet, so we'll see what happens. Maybe that'll change. You had any final words, Gary, before we move on?
No final words. You guys summed it all up.
Okay. This next topic, I don't have a lot to say about. I do have a lot to say about what's after this topic, but the next topic, because I got a letter about this today. I think a couple people got a press release about this today. YouTube finally announced their gaming service is going to be launching this summer, and it's going to be going head-to-head against Twitch. Now, when this news came out, I thought it was funny because I saw the press release. I was like, okay, well, we already knew this was going to happen because there were rumors about this a while ago, and we knew that they want to try and take Twitch on in this space. Then I happened to jump on Twitter, and I see that Twitch had a response for them, referring to them as Player 2 and telling them to follow them on the Google Plus page. I thought that was interesting. So, but here's my question to you guys, and probably this isn't going to really be something we get into real deep conversation about because, I mean, I want to see how the service turns out, and we'll know more about it next week, but do you guys think that this YouTube gaming service is going to be a real big deal and it's going to, you know, be a serious competitor to Twitch, or do you think that Twitch is too far ahead and they pretty much are running things now? They're always going to be running things. So how about you go first, Gary?
Yeah, the way I feel about it is, like, I think YouTube actually tried to launch a streaming thing before, if I'm not mistaken, and it completely bombed. Like, it really wasn't that intuitive or anything. But where the I guess where they could succeed is the fact that they have all these YouTube commentators and all these popular YouTube channels already, and if they make it easy for these guys to do their commentaries while streaming and broadcasting live, then that could really help the service. That could play right into their hands. Because we see a lot of these YouTube commentators uploading their streams from Twitch. So if they could just do it right on YouTube, that makes life 10 times easier for them. And if they add in all the monetization and everything, then that might be beneficial. But Twitch, they've already built up a lot of steam. They've got everything set already. People are making money, making a living off of Twitch. People are streaming all types of things like tournaments, and they've already got so much in place, and it's only going to get better. So YouTube, they've got a lot to do before they really catch up to Twitch's level. But I think because YouTube is already such a popular platform, I don't think it would take them too long. I mean, if the service is actually good, then it might legit be a threat to Twitch in the future. We just gotta wait and see what happens. I'm gonna be really interested in seeing what they present at E3.
Let me make a real quick comment on that. I do agree that YouTube, they have a huge following. I will probably say a bigger following as far as being around the longest, so they have a little bit more experience as far as bringing people on board. What I have to say though is that the way that YouTube has been cracking down on content creators and telling them that they can't use certain stuff in their videos, the copyright claims and all that other stuff, that particular issue right there needs to be resolved. Now, I don't know if this particular service is going to address that, because again, there has to be some type of limitations and rules in place for the service as is now. I know many times we probably did some video stuff, like you give a perfect example of the game where you tried to upload it to YouTube and then there's a copyright claim on it. So again, I don't know if some people will be turned off by that to the point where they wouldn't use the service because of that. I do know some people that have found ways around stuff to still get what they, as far as make their money from YouTube and then leave it at that. But I want to see what they do as far as what they're going to do with this program and make it so that everybody will want to use it without having to worry about not being able to make the content you want to make. Because again, the gameplay stuff is all right, but there's limitations with some of the music that can be used, so on and so forth, that type of stuff. So people who are real creative, they may have some issues with that stuff, but I want to see what they are intending to do, because I think that they definitely rubbed some people the wrong way with the way they handled that stuff, the content IDs, all that other stuff. So this service needs to, when they talk about it next week, it needs to mend those broken fences and basically convince people that, yeah, you need to jump on board. And I very much look forward to seeing what they're going to do to convince somebody to say, okay, yeah, I got to sign up for that immediately. I got to use them for all my content. But,
yeah, you know what they could implement to really solve a lot of the copyright stuff in terms of like music and stuff. If they have like a library, for the streams and stuff of royalty-free music that you can pick from. So it's right there. That would be convenient. And they could even make it, because on YouTube there's tons of YouTube channels dedicated to people who create these royalty-free music. So they could, have a section for them to just upload the music and stuff, and then you can just select it or something. Like if they figure out a way to do that, that would be amazing.
They can do that.
Which doesn't have.
They can do that. I mean, yeah, they got to find, like you said, they got to find ways to separate themselves from the competition. So that is a great idea. In the event that they do something like that, you need to contact them directly and say, so where is my cut? Because I said this idea before you guys launched. Now you guys, so yeah, you owe me something for this,
Yeah, I'm about to hit them up after this.
Yeah, definitely.
I need
So
some
yeah,
equity.
you got to, because the coalition also owe us money too for that name that they're using for the Gears of War series. Oh yeah.
I knew this would happen. I knew this would happen. Hey, if you get it, man, get your money. That's all I can say.
Yeah, that's right. So what do you think about this, Michael? YouTube, Twitch situation?
Personally, I'm all for it. I'm very much into capitalism, so competition is always good. So there's no downside to it. Also, Google has the money to actually stand behind it and weather the storm and try and actually give Twitch a run for their money. I personally believe Twitch has gotten far too complacent. I was on Twitch back when it wasn't Twitch, like when it was on Justin TV and streaming games back then. And it's a far different site than it was then. I mean, a lot of it came because it blew up, obviously. So there's some changes that had to happen because you're getting bigger and you have a big audience. But it's like they almost shifted. It's like Twitch shifted what they were trying to do. It went from being this place where people you could stream a game. Anyone could stream a game, any type of game, and people could watch, interact with that person, and just have a chill environment, to this new kind of Uber PC domain. And I mean, I guess that's fine for some channels, but I mean, there should be options for channels where it's not so PC, like it's just more raunchy or free, I should say. And it seems like they don't really want that anymore. So perhaps YouTube Games, I'm not saying they're going to, perhaps YouTube Games could offer that. Because, I mean, they have that in channels now. There are people that I follow who only upload gaming content. And I watch them not because they're raunchy, but because the gaming content is quality. They are unique, they are entertaining, they're funny, and they just, you know what I mean? It's just more open. I like that. So there's going to be a lot of people who are going to look at Twitch and say, well, this is a little too PG-13 for me, too PC for me. I want more alternatives. I'm not saying they're going to give up on Twitch. No, Twitch has done a good job, and they deserve to be where they are. What I'm saying is this is going to provide people more options. This is going to provide people alternatives, both on the viewership hand and on the hand of people who are trying to create content. So I'm all for this. I hope YouTube really sticks with it because they have the money to do it with Google backing them. The only thing I can see is I find it kind of funny that there are people attacking them already and claiming Google to be this evil company while they type these things in Twitter from Google Chrome. It's like, what are you talking about? You can't. I don't understand. Maybe it's the same thing with people, because I remember people used to champion Google as this big underdog and hate the other bigger companies like Microsoft and all that stuff in comparison to them. And now I guess Google's become the evil company because they have money and success. It's like you champion them when they're trying to become the champ, and then when they become the champ, you want to tear them down. It doesn't make any sense. But I'm all for it. I saw that tweet as well, and I found that funny. It's like, oh, you're going at Google Plus. I'm like, well, I mean, there's pure numbers. I'm pretty sure there's more people on Google Plus than Twitch. So, what were you really trying to do there? Because I don't really understand. I don't get it. But I mean, it was a cute jab at them. I get it. You know, they're trying to say, listen, we're already established, we're already here, know your role. I can respect that. You know, hey, business is a lot like wrestling. You know, he's the champ. He's like, listen, I am here. This is my belt. You ain't getting it, sucker. That's basically what they're trying to tell YouTube. And I'm like, hopefully YouTube doesn't just cower. I mean, I don't know if YouTube actually even made a formal response. I don't think that they did because they didn't really have to. They mainly were just announcing the brand and letting people know, E3, you will see more information. So I want to see what they're going to do with that. Because you got to remember, people are thinking, well, Twitch is established. I'm like, oh, yeah, Twitch is established, but Twitch is not more established than YouTube. Like, even just the gaming side of YouTube is way bigger than Twitch. Like, people who just upload videos already on Twitch. And think about every device you have that has a YouTube app on it. There's one on my PS4. There's one on my Xbox. There's one on my phone. There's one. You obviously, if you have a computer, you can just go to it in your web browser. Most tablets will have a YouTube dedicated app. Like, everyone has YouTube already. Everyone's using YouTube. I think it's like the second most popular site on the net. You don't think I mean, for devices like Xbox and PS4 and your phone and stuff like that, you don't think it'll be something as simple as them releasing an update to that app, and bam, congratulations, you can now broadcast via YouTube? I think that's possible. I think that's very possible, and they don't have the same hurdles as other companies that try to go against them, like Owned 3D and all those other sites that kind of fell under or went away. Or even, well, Ustream, they're still there. They just don't really focus on gaming. They just focus on people streaming content, period, which I think is pretty cool. They have, like, they're in a good position. They're in a position to challenge you at Twitch, and this benefits everyone. This doesn't hurt anyone. This is good around the board. I think this will benefit Twitch as well, honestly. Twitch will have some fire underneath them to, incorporate new functions. Mm-hmm. Maybe some complaints people are having about them, maybe not be so PC and be so sensitive and stuff like that. Allow people to just have fun and go back to being fun. So this is good for everyone. This is good for gamers. This is good for Twitch. Good for YouTube. I'm all for it. This is nothing but good news. And I'm curious to see what they're going to show at E3. I'll be paying attention. So, and also, hey, honestly, I mean, I'm on Twitch a lot because that's why I watch a lot of the fighting game stuff that I see now. It's mainly Twitch and Nico for the Asian streams. That for the international Asian streams and whatnot. So we'll see if YouTube does well enough. You might see some fighting game community stuff streamed on there. I mean, you already see entire tournaments hosted on there after their broadcast. So people might just start broadcasting them. I might make an account, start streaming there too. I mean, I stream from Twitch. I haven't streamed on Twitch for a while. I've been slacking because I've been focused. But I need to get back into that. And honestly, if I get back into it, and YouTube's putting in work, why not risk it on YouTube, Makes sense?
That's true. No? Any final words, Gary? You all set?
Yeah, I'm all set. I'm just waiting to see what happens, man. I want to see it.
Yeah. All right, so now that we got those topics out the way, we could get to the stuff that we really would love to discuss this evening. First and foremost, let's talk about Microsoft. They announced this week in a press release on their website that Crackdown and Scalebound will not be at E3. We also found out sometime before that Quantum Break will also not be at E3. All three of these games will, of course, be at Gamescom, which is later this summer. So my question to you guys are, do you think this was a smart strategy? I can tell you what I think, but I'll let you guys speak first. So, how about you go first, Michael A., and tell us what you think about this news.
What news? Like the Microsoft news?
Yeah. Scalebound, Crackdown.
I mean, see, Microsoft usually does this thing with E3, which is why I respected their E3 conferences so much, where it's like, we'll show you a game, and that game, you can expect to be playing it within 2 to 3 years. So we'll announce a game, and then the year after we'll show you footage of the game, and you'll be playing it shortly after. So when I saw them announce last year, Scalebound and whatnot, I'm like, okay, cool. They showed like a CGI, but I'm like, okay, it was just an announcement trailer. I didn't expect gameplay, because obviously they're just letting us know this is an IP we're working on. You'll be getting more information about this IP shortly. We haven't really heard a lot about these IPs in that year up to this point now anyway, except the recent news that they won't be giving us more information about it at E3. What the fuck, Microsoft? Like, what? Why? What is the point of that? Like, you would have been better off just saying nothing, and then after E3 saying the games are still coming. You could have pulled the Sony with Last Guardian and it's like, oh, it's in development, maybe. you come out and admit, we're just not gonna show it. Why? Like, unless your show at E3 is going, unless they have so many games coming that they just couldn't fit, which I'm not saying that's impossible. It's possible. They're focusing on making new IPs and trying to get their exclusives number up. Okay. I mean, I'm not saying that's a requirement for them. I don't think it's a requirement. Obviously, Sony's showing that. Like, you don't need first parties to sell systems. Just be the cool system, and people will buy it because you're cool. Because that's what people do now. They buy stuff that are cool. They don't buy stuff off of, like, merit or what it's offering in terms of, like, actual games versus the console. No, they buy it because it's cool. Anyway, so for Microsoft, like, those games, they kind of need to be there. Like, I'm not saying they need to have a lot of time. We know that Halo's going to get shine because it's coming out later this year. We know that you're going to talk about Gears a lot. because you didn't even mention Gears last year. You just showed a picture of it. So we know that the Gears remaster is coming. Goddamn fucking remasters this gen need to stop. That doesn't even need. Gears remaster doesn't need to happen. That does not need to be happen. I don't care how mad Gears of War fans are at me. If you really want to go play Gears of War, you can play Gears of War. In fact, you guys already are playing Gears of War on 360 right now. Why do you want to play it on Xbox One as well? People are playing Gears on PC right now. Why do you need a remastered Gear? Anyway, we know Gears is coming. Okay, we know the remaster is coming, and they'll probably say the date, because what they'll do is what they do with Halo. The remaster will come out. The remaster will include early access to the demo, quote-unquote, beta for Gears 4. And Gears 4 will probably come out holiday season 2016. I'm assuming. I could be wrong. We know Forza 6 is coming because you've already told us Forza 6 is coming. We know that the Fable will get some shine because Fable's. I got nothing about that. I mean, it sells, so maybe that's why it's shine.
It's free to play though.
And it is a free-to-play game. And you know what? Microsoft is trying to show people, hey, we have free-to-play games too. We're pushing that. Smite will get some shine because Smite's not even officially released yet. It's still. It was in early access before. Now it's in beta. Or did I get that back? No, it was in beta before. Now it's in early access. Smite's coming out officially later this year. So that'll probably get some shine. But what about the games we don't know about? Or what about the games that you've told us about and you haven't said anything? What about Phantom Dust? I mean, I haven't heard anything about Phantom Dust since you really announced it. I've heard all these things about it being in limbo and things being shifted around, but
it's still in limbo.
You know what I mean? Exactly. You know, like I understand that you're saying that this is going to be the best Microsoft conference ever. I'm like, well, you guys have had some amazing conferences in the past. That's really difficult to say. So I'm either going to be. Microsoft's kind of set themselves up. They set themselves up here. This show is either going to knock me off my feet, or it will make me trade in my Xbox. There's no in between for Microsoft. There's no in between with them. They either are going to meet the standards that they've been pushing themselves to have for this show, or it's going to be garbage. Because honestly, I already told you guys, for Sony, they don't need to do much. Give me a release date for The Last Guardian and walk off the stage. That's their E3 conference. They've already sold systems. Give me a release date for The Last Guardian. Mission accomplished. Game.
Well,
okay, that's it. So you haven't sold as many consoles as Sony has. You've got a lot more to do. Honestly, Nintendo's Nintendo. They're staying in their lane. I expect their show to be amazing. And honestly, with the news that there are, I mean, we already knew they're working on new hardware, but I mean, I'm expecting you're going to see a new Nintendo hardware, home console, within 2 years. I think you will. It just makes sense. So that's kind of confusing. Nintendo's kind of in a confusing spot. But hey, I don't even care. As long as they show games, especially for the 3DS, that has been selling well for them, I'm happy. So Nintendo knows what they need to do. Just bring the games. You got to bring the games too, because you two are in a position where you got to do that. Sony doesn't have to bring games. People who buy PlayStations don't even care about games anymore. They really can just walk out and say, yeah, 25 million, deuces, and people will clap. Like nobody's going to care. So Microsoft, you got some work to do. I'm not saying you can't. I think you can do it. I'm hoping they understand the gravity of the situation, because it's not even bad. If this show is mediocre or slightly above average, it's a failure. This is you know those past fail courses you take in college where you just had to get a C? It's like that. Microsoft can't get a C and pass. No, they have to get an A. They get an A or they fail. That's it. There's no ground for them.
Well, I do have a response to that, but you got something to say first, Gary?
Yeah, it's going to be very brief, but yeah, Michael A is right. Microsoft have a lot of pressure on them right now, you know, being in second place in the console war. So for that reason, you know, they're going to have to go all out. And I think that them not showing Crackdown, Scalebound, and Quantum Break, I think that's very telling, because it seems to me like they're so stacked. You know, they've got so much new stuff to show us that, you know, they had to take those out because, you know, they've already announced them.
I'm not.
And we've seen Quantum Break, many times already, and we know that's coming soon. And the other games, I mean, I'd love to see more Crackdown because that's probably the one I'm most excited about.
Yeah.
But they're going to be at Gamescom as well, so we might see that later on this year. But yeah, I think Microsoft are in a great position to blow us away next week. So
in a couple of days.
Yeah, so I'm looking
All right.
forward to seeing what they got.
Well, here's the thing. What you both said is absolutely correct. Microsoft does need to go all out this year. I mean, that's not a surprise. They know that they have a considerable amount of catching up to do as they are going to try and catch up. I do not like the fact that we're not getting any updates on these games until Gamescom, and I can understand because Sony won't be at Gamescom, so maybe they decided to do that because they know Sony won't be there. Therefore, they can have whatever extra time they need to really show off these games. But the other thing is this: we already know that these 3 games are not coming out this year. Therefore, it's kind of like you can't really expect that they would be there because, these are just games that they announced they showed last year. And while we do deserve to have a progress report on what is going on with these games, again, you remember what Phil said about the fact that he wanted to highlight first-party games this year. So, yeah, he has definitely put a lot of pressure on Microsoft to do just that. When I when I see this conference on Monday, I don't want to see third-party stuff. And the thing about it, Tomb Raider is not a first-party game, so already that's going to be shown because it's a holiday exclusive. But that already is going against what he said about first-party games. The only game that we know about is going to get announced is going to be Rare's new game, whatever that is. Whatever the game is they're working on will be one of the games that will get discussed. Outside of that, I have no idea what else we will see or hear from. I do assume that when they kept saying that they have a stacked lineup for the rest of the year, I don't know about that. I mean, Forza, yeah, we know Forza will probably be out sometime in September. Halo is coming out in October. I'm not sure when Tomb Raider is coming out. Maybe hopefully before November, because November there's a lot of stuff coming out in November, as it is every year. But outside of that, I really don't know what it is that they're going to show, which is going to be so big, that much of a big deal that it's like, oh yes, it's going to make everybody just drop everything and say, oh yes, I need an Xbox now. We know that there's going to be the 1 terabyte Xbox One, and I'm pretty sure that Sony, because the news dropped about their PlayStation 4 also having that model, they're probably going to talk about that. But outside of that, I don't really know what else they can show us. Yeah, you are right. We can be very much blown away next week, but I'm gonna keep my reservations, at a reasonable level because I got to see exactly what it is they're going to bring to the table. We'll see about Sony because we do know that the rumor going around is about The Last Guardian. If that rumor ends up becoming true, well, yeah, because I know people who they have told me. I've had conversations with several coworkers. They have told me if that game gets announced, they are buying a PlayStation 4 tomorrow. So, yeah, I mean, some people have been waiting for that game for a long, long time. So, it's going to be interesting. But getting back to Microsoft, I don't know what they have planned. They have to have something planned to make a risky move like this one because you could have at least given some type of brief update, whether it be a trailer or whatever. Let us know more about the game, but the fact they aren't showing any of it is concerning. And then when you look at a game like Quantum Break, all the stuff that has been happening behind the scenes with that game, where you have the CEO leaving the company and a few other people that left the company to do other stuff, makes you worried to be like, okay, well, what's going on with the game? Is it in trouble? Microsoft they have not given us any assurances that it is okay. Because they're saying, no, we'll show it to you at Gamescom. Well, no, I want to update on this now to know what's going on with the game. No, Gamescom. So, we'll see. Crackdown, a big game last year. It got a lot of attention. I'm surprised that's not going to be shown. But, again, I know they need to work on the game. So, I guess they just figure, well, they need more time. They'll have something ready for Gamescom. And of course, last but certainly not least, Scalebound, another game where we only saw the CG trailer. We didn't really see anything else. Don't really know nothing else about the game. So I would have hoped that we have at least got some kind of news, but I don't know. All I gotta say is it's gonna be very interesting to see what they do show next week. So, you guys have any final thoughts on the Microsoft topic?
Man, so
what?
Microsoft better get an A, because Sony needs all they need. Last Guardian and walk off stage, and they got an A+.
I mean, Sony is in a perfect position as far as I'm concerned, because as you said, Last Guardian, yeah. But not just that, a lot of the games, the third-party content will be coming to PlayStation first this season. As we've said on past co-ops, games like Metal Gear Solid, a lot of people will buy that game on PlayStation 4 and not Xbox One. So they're totally fine, even if The Last Guardian doesn't get announced. I would say Sony's still fine. But I am very intrigued to see what it is that they're going to announce, because they haven't given us any indication as to what they will announce. Outside of, we know Uncharted Collection is coming. And we know a couple other games here and there are coming. Until Dawn, a game that Gary loves. He says that's one of his most anticipated games of 2015.
Man.
Yeah.
But I mean,
very frightening. Yes. So it's going to be interesting, but
I'm not so sure I agree that Sony's got it easy, to be honest. Like you guys, you're saying all they have to do is announce Last Guardian and all that stuff. I don't think it's that easy. Like Sony, they have to put on a show too, because you got all these people with PS4s out there. You got to let them know why they own a PS4. Like what are you providing them? Because to me, in my opinion, the third party's kind of running things right now in the industry. I mean, Microsoft, they obviously have more exclusives in the pipeline than Sony does, but third party is really putting out the best stuff right now. And the main reason why you choose one console over the other, is because it offers you some kind of exclusive experience.
Yeah.
So Sony need to let people know why you should choose their platform, or why you bought their platform in the first place. So I feel like Sony need to do a lot as well if they want to.
You're not understanding. Their console is cool, so people will buy it because it's cool. It's not Microsoft. It's cool. It's all of these things. It's not anti-consumer. You guys can't see. I'm doing air quotes. They're not spying on you with the NSA, with Kinect. All of these things.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they will sell. That's why they have been selling. They will continue to sell off of these things. Are these things?
So basically, they're just riding a wave. Like that's all they're doing. They're just riding a wave.
Wait a second. Big ass wave, though. That's what I'm trying to explain to you.
But wait a second, because what you're saying, I think I can give you the perfect example, Gary, so you understand. Because I understand exactly what Michael A. is saying. Microsoft, when they launched the Xbox One, they had a vision for what they wanted to make with this system. It wasn't clear in their message when they decided to drop this system, and then they had gamers thinking that, well, they forgot about gamers because they're talking about this entertainment stuff. Whereas when the PlayStation 4 dropped, Sony has always had the mindset of the gamers first, and one thing that you have to give them credit for, take what we discussed, I believe it was the last co-op or the co-op before last. They're remaining very visible with the community. When the guy, Andrew House, says we have a very sparse first-party lineup and we're focusing on third parties, they're being very transparent because they want to be honest with the consumers because the consumers have been backing them. Whereas Microsoft, they probably had good intentions for some of the stuff that they were going to try and do when they tried to make this online-only thing, but they didn't explain anything. They saw what Sony did, and then they just said, well, forget it. They never gave a proper explanation as to what the original system was supposed to actually do. And for that reason, we will never know what the original Xbox One was supposed to do because they just went with what the competition did and said, okay, well, no, we're just going to take this approach. All because they didn't take the time to properly explain and educate people on what they were actually trying to do. Whereas Sony has been clear from day one, it's about the gamers. The fact they came out before Microsoft, many people will say that that's not a big deal. To me, that is a big deal because I remember when I got my PlayStation 4, you know, I didn't pre-order a copy of the system. I just went to a store, and I just happened to be one of the last people in line to get the system. But when I got the system, like everybody who I was in line with, it was all excitement. Got to meet a whole bunch of people. And the whole thing about it is that, you know, because that was the first system out, a lot of people who I became friends with, they all, of course, got the system. I had other people who I knew were already going to get a PlayStation 4. I mean, the experience came first with that because, you know, we know Xbox Live was good on Xbox 360. I'm not saying that it's not good on Xbox One. It's still great on Xbox One, but there was a lot of things when that system came out, it was not what it is today. They still had to make changes and fixes to it, just as Sony has made subtle changes here and there, and then some significant changes more recently. But again, you know, they had the fans from day one when they told them they were about the gamers. They had, even though they haven't had a lot of exclusive games on the console yet, we all know Sony's track record of supporting their consoles and releasing a ton of games on them. So you know that in the beginning it wasn't going to be a lot of stuff on the PlayStation 4, but you know that when it does get rolling, it's going to be a lot of great games that are going to come on there at some point in time. It takes time for the developers to figure out the technology and make the games perform the way they need to perform on the system and actually be compelling and good to play. So I understand all of this, but to make a long story incredibly short, yeah, I mean, Microsoft's decision not to have these games, that right there is something that I mean, I don't understand that logic. They really have to have something big, but I guess we'll find out sooner or later exactly what they got up their sleeve. And as for Sony, we're going to segue right into this since we're already talking about Sony. You know, once again, Sony has won the NPDs for this past month. Of course, the #1 game was The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and it sold better on the PlayStation 4 than the Xbox One. Now, I know some people have pointed out the fact that The Witcher 2 came out on Xbox 360, so you would assume that it's going to sell well on the Xbox One. That's not true, though. PlayStation 4 is the leading console right now, so that's where the most people bought the game at. But pretty much, just to ask the question, are any of you guys surprised that PlayStation 4 is now back on top again with the console sales? I mean, I don't have the numbers in front of me because I didn't see you know, I saw the information, but when I saw it, there wasn't no numbers at that time. I don't know if it's updated between now and then, but what do you guys think about this news? Are you surprised? You think it's going to be a trend? Because I personally think it will continue with Batman coming later this month.
I think it might continue for now for the next few months, but I think we might see a shift, you know, later this year. But I mean, we gotta wait and see what happens at E3 as well, you know, because E3 can change a lot of things. So, you know, we gotta wait and see what happens.
Yeah. This is true. Any thoughts, Michael A?
I mean, you guys know me. I don't care about sales because yet. So I don't make any money off the systems. Why do I care? Honestly, NPDs are just. I've said it before. Everyone knows what this is. No people who deny this are fanboys. So there's no point. In terms of me being shocked that Sony is back on top, nah, not really. I was shocked that Microsoft outsold them last month. Remember, I was sitting there like, what the hell did Microsoft release to outsell them last month? I didn't get it.
Nothing.
Yeah, that's what I'm like, what did they do? I don't understand. So, I mean, neither console is really doing anything right now. So, it makes sense. Flip-flops, I guess. I don't know.
Well, you know, I recall the last time we talked about NPDs, we didn't make a big deal about the fact that, you know, Xbox outsold for the 1 month and said it. Well, yeah, this is just 1 month. It's not a big deal. So,
and honestly, it was an anomaly. It didn't make sense. Like, no one could have predicted that was happening. I don't think anyone did. And the only people that were hype about it were Xbox fanboys. And even then, I'm looking at Xbox fanboys like, why are you setting yourself up for failure? Because when Sony outsells you next month, which they will, you will look like an idiot. Like, you should sit there and say nothing and do nothing. That's what you should do. But no, they open their mouths and we're celebrating. Oh, this is the beginning of the turn of the time. No. I mean, I'm not. No. What the fuck? Like, what has changed? What changed in April? Okay, let's go ahead. You know what? Yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. What did Microsoft do new or different? What new policy did they enact that let you think, okay, this wave has just turned? It's Microsoft's turn now. I promise you, Microsoft's sitting there like, we outsold them? How? We didn't release anything. We expected to take another L. No. They were confused as hell, just like I was. And if you notice, they said, "Oh, we outsold them," and that's all they did. They didn't say anything else after that. They shut the hell up.
Yeah.
Fanboys. They couldn't see that the people who actually work at the company and make the damn thing were smart enough to just make the announcement and then go back to work. No. They had to get on high horses and be like, "Yeah, it's our turn now." Like, this isn't a war. You know, you're not pushing the battle lines back. You're more territory. Like, what are you talking about? And nothing changed. Like, they didn't do anything different. I don't know. It's my feelings on Sony on selling them. The same thing I feel about Sony selling how it's been doing this entire generation with what Sony's done this generation. I give all the props in the world to Sony. They found a way to do what they're doing and make money off of it. I standing ovation, because if you'd given me a console and that lineup and told me to sell 25 million, 30 million, whatever they're at right now, consoles, in 2 years, I would have told you need to give me a couple more years to have some more games out that are worth buying. And that's what I would have told you. Because honestly, I'm very unimpressed with this generation of consoles. And it's not just Sony. It's on Microsoft too. It's on Nintendo. Honestly, if you don't game at all on PC or on handheld, and all you're playing is Xbox One and PS4 and Wii U, I feel sorry for you. This generation has been ass so far. I'm sure it'll get better. All generations don't start out amazing and then stay at that level. They start at one level and improve. I haven't seen that improvement yet, honestly, is what I'm saying. So, but then again, we all know these consoles came out early. These sales, I don't care. It's just tiring. Like, I'm waiting for June to come out, and then when PS4 outsells them again, what are people going to say then? And then what's going to happen in the holiday season when Microsoft sells more consoles than Sony? What are people going to say then? The most important months anyway. So who cares if Microsoft outsells them in April and only outsells them in May? Those months don't really matter in the grand scheme, because most consoles and games are bought in Q4. They're bought at the end of the year, holiday season. Everyone knows this. This is why most of the games come out during that time period. So if you really are looking at this as a war, and you're walking around with your gun with your bayonet and all that attached to it, then this isn't the battle. You're basically still on the ship on your way to D-Day. You haven't arrived yet. So, like, you're celebrating a war, and you're on your way to a war. Like, it hasn't even started. Wait till holiday season. Yeah. But I mean, hey, again, congrats to Sony. You keep making your money. You're selling ice to Eskimos right now, and they're buying it. So, hey, I got nothing. This is clearly why they're in the position. This is why those people have those jobs, because they're doing this. They're selling salt to snails right now, and those snails are all dead. So, congrats.
Well, hey, you know, it's. Well, listen. Let's go ahead and let's say this. Yeah, Sony, they deserve props. You know, I've been saying on episodes, there's people probably listen to me say stuff and they're like, they don't listen to everything I say. I've been saying PlayStation 4 is awesome. You know, I'm on the PlayStation 4 more than the Xbox One, but you know, some people don't look at it that way. They want to find a way to say, no, you're not a fan of PlayStation, and that's not true. I'm a fan of games, period. I've said that. You know, this holiday season, I will be getting Tomb Raider on Xbox One, and I will be getting Metal Gear Solid on PlayStation 4. I will be getting whatever exclusives are going to come out on PlayStation 4, same as Xbox One. I mean, it's about gaming. It's not about, you know, some people have a preference. That's fine. If you have a preference, that's good.
Rich, how long have you been doing this? You've been in this game for years. You've been gaming for years. Okay?
Yeah.
You understand that gaming isn't how it was when we got into gaming. Gaming the last 2 generations has changed. Okay?
Yeah.
You're not allowed to be, quote unquote, about games. No, that's not an option. Pick a side. What side are you? Like, do you bleed blue or do you bleed green? That's it. There's none of that. Oh, I'm about games. I have both. I play games for the enjoyment. That's hogwash. People they don't care about that.
Yeah, you're
what
right.
Do you want? Because that's really what it boils down to. You gotta pick one.
You're absolutely correct. It is unfortunate, but you know that is a war that this way you have to ignore that stuff because those people they're in a world of their own. As I said, anything that I buy with my own money, hey, I'm entitled to criticize as well as love it. Talk about the positives and negatives. That's the way I see it because anyone else is going to do the exact same thing. But to stay on topic with this, yeah, Sony deserves props for the NPDs. It's not a surprise that they were once again in the position that they were in. The Witcher, a great game, but we already knew this game was going to sell well on the PlayStation 4 because again, this is the leading console right now. The game has been heavily marketed. So yeah, everybody was going to want to be interested in this game and pick up this game. So CD Projekt deserve credit for that because the game is excellent. I don't really have any issues with the game. It's just a lot that you have to take in when you play this game. But it's an awesome game.
So I'd be interested to know how much that sold on PC, but I know we can't get those numbers. But
we can't get the. Why is that? Is that because the NPD doesn't count the digital the PC sales?
Yeah, exactly. And
that's interesting.
Because the thing is, that entire trilogy, the entire trilogy exists on PC, so I would expect more people to buy it on PC than the console versions.
Well, that is the best way to experience everything in terms of that because I know they had an option where you can have your saves from The Witcher 2 and import those saves into Witcher 3 on the Xbox, but what are you going to do if you're on PlayStation 4? You see, because the game is only Witcher 3, and no CD Projekt has already said they are not releasing 1 and 2 on either console. They have made that clear already because now they're about to start working on that next game, that Cyberpunk game next. So they don't have time to do any of this other stuff. So 4 did extremely well. I believe they sold 4 million copies in 2 weeks. Don't quote me on that number. I believe it was close to that number.
Congrats to them, especially with all the stupid negative press that certain people tried to spin against the game.
Oh yeah.
Congrats to them. Congrats to gamers for actually going out there supporting and playing the game.
Yeah, and props to them because they were pretty much an indie developer. I mean, I don't know if you'd consider them not indie now, but I mean, they started out indie, and
and I mean, technically they kind of still are. I mean,
yeah,
it's true. No, they deserve that honor. So, it's great to see that they were on the NPDs. Another game that was on the NPD list was Splatoon at number 5. And I can tell you right now, listen, I already said this before. I don't have a Wii U. I'm not really interested in getting a Wii U, but I did see JJ play this game on our Twitch stream. The game looks a lot of fun.
That game is so much fun, dude.
See, it looks fun, so I could see why that would be a good seller. And it's good for Nintendo because, I mean, they need this, they need this, I believe, going into E3. They're probably going to have a lot more to say about stuff that they have coming. I definitely expect a Star Fox game since they already said that's going to come before Zelda.
Got pushed back, especially.
We'll see about that. And actually, yeah, we are going to talk about that shortly. But it's pretty much as far as I'm concerned, as far as Sony wins May NPDs, great job. 2 thumbs up for that. We know that they will also win June because of the Arkham Knight and then the Arkham Knight PS4 that's dropping. And I'm gonna tell you right now, when I saw that console, I said, you know, man, I would have gotten the console. I'm not going to get it now because I mean I already have a PlayStation 4, but that console looks really nice.
Yeah, that does look nice.
But you know, there'll probably be one for Metal Gear Solid later this year as well.
They don't have a Metal Gear Solid PlayStation for something like that. Yeah. Somebody's getting fired. That's just how it is. You can't do that for Metal Gear.
No, they're going to definitely have that.
That's why Kojima got fired.
Oh. Yeah, they'll definitely have that. They'll probably announce that at the conference. You know, just to give people a little heads up about it. But you know, we'll see. Any final thoughts on the Sony topic? We have one last topic to cover.
Nah, I think we pretty much covered everything, unless you guys have something.
Last Guardian, Sony, congratulations in advance. You quote unquote won E3, as the fanboys say. So.
Okay, so you know what? Since you said that,
yeah.
What are our final E3 expectations? I know you said Last Guardian. I'm gonna just say this right now. The rumors that said that this game is coming out, I definitely want to believe that it is true that these rumors are accurate. But we have to see what happens. What you said earlier in the show about Siphon Filter, I have been waiting for that announcement as well. And I kept hearing that Sony they want to go back to that franchise, but yeah. I haven't heard. I mean, they're working on something now. Maybe that is what they're working on. I don't know. I guess we'll find out what they're working on at E3. But yeah, Siphon Filter, that needs to come back, and you know, hey, that's really what I'm looking forward to. Last Guardian, I don't know because I haven't really played too many of the other games. If I did, it was a long time ago. I don't really recall playing them. But hey, I will check it out if it is announced because so many people are just they like I told you, people I know they can't wait for this game to drop. They said if the announcement and they just said it, all they have to do is announce it, say it's coming out. They will buy a PlayStation 4 the exact same day. And I thought to myself, really? So this is a console seller. I had no idea of this. But let's go ahead and ask you guys, what are your final E3 expectations? You can tell me. You don't need to basically talk about every single company, but basically, I guess you just tell me what you want in terms of what you think is going to happen for some of the big guys or you know the third-party companies. You go first, Gary.
Okay, so yeah, I was at the last two E3s, and you know, unfortunately, this time I'm not going, you know, because I wanted to let some of the other guys go, some of the newer writers and everything. So you know, props to those guys. So I think because the last 2 years, it was great being there, and you know, obviously great being around my people at the coalition and everything, but I don't feel like the last 2 years was that great in terms of, you know, announcements and everything. I mean, we saw some cool stuff, definitely, but I feel like those 2 years should have been a lot more impressive because, you know, 2013 was leading into the launch of these new consoles, and then 2014 we were supposed to see, you know, a lot of heat coming for the consoles. This year, I don't know what to think, to be honest, right now. I mean, part of me thinks that we're going to see some amazing stuff go down, some megatons. But then another part of me is like, what if they just play it safe again this year, you know, like, and just show us a bunch of average shit. So I don't know what to expect. And I'm actually kind of glad that I'm watching from home this year because, you know, that might give me a new perspective on it completely, you know, from what we see. So yeah, overall I'm looking forward to, you know, seeing it and covering the event with you guys, you know, talking about it and posting up articles and everything. I'm looking forward to that part of it. But you know, I just don't know what to expect. I mean, I think it's gonna either be really good or just bad. But just to give a quick rundown, so Bethesda, you know, I think they're gonna spend a lot of time on Fallout 4, obviously, and I think they're going to show Dishonored 2, maybe. Microsoft, nothing but first-party exclusives. A lot of good stuff coming from Microsoft, I think. Sony, I think it will be okay. I think they'll show some cool stuff. And if they do have the Last Guardian thing, for me personally, I'd want to see gameplay of some sort, because if the Last Guardian's coming out, that's great. But I mean, it's an old game that was being developed for the PS3, so we kind of need to see what they're doing with the game now for the PS4. That's just my opinion. Like, I don't think they can just walk out and say the Last Guardian and win. I feel like they need to show a lot more. What else is there? Ubisoft. I don't know what to think of them. EA. I think is going to be. It has the potential to be terrible, to be honest. Especially going by last year, where they basically showed us concept art of games. But there's one thing that has me really interested, and that's Mass Effect. If they show a lot of stuff from that, I'm going to be very excited. I know they're going to spend a lot of time on Star Wars and FIFA and Madden, because those are mandatory. But it will probably be like a subpar conference. Who else is there on that day, on Monday? I think that's it, right?
Yeah, you said Ubisoft, you said EA, Sony,
Yes.
and Microsoft. I
Yeah,
believe
okay. So Tuesday we have Square Enix, which is the one I'm really excited for. They already said they're not going to talk about Final Fantasy, so I guess we'll have to wait. I think they might show Dissidia though. I think we're in for a Dissidia announcement. I think they might bring that to console, and it might be exclusive. I think we're going to see Kingdom Hearts, and obviously they have a lot of Western stuff to show, like Tomb Raider and Deus Ex. So I'm really excited for that conference. And Nintendo, I think Nintendo, they actually might have a really good conference, to be honest with you. I mean, not a conference, but their Nintendo Direct. It might actually be really good, because I remember last year, we watched it while we was in Denny's having breakfast, and it was actually pretty good, because they were showing games, like, a lot of exclusive games and everything, and some of them seemed really cool. But with Nintendo games, you never know when they're going to drop. That's the only thing with me. But and also, you never know, Nintendo might show something of the NX. So I'm quite intrigued by what they might show. But yeah, that's my basic thoughts on E3. I'm just, I just want to get this thing started. So
same here.
what do you guys think?
All right, I'll let you go first, Hayden, and then I'll finish off. Yeah, so Mike, you go ahead.
You're muted.
I think I pretty much said it already. Sony, Last Guardian comes out, we're done. That's it. Don't really need to do much else. I mean, honestly, they don't even have to do that. I mean, for me, they would. There's no Last Guardian, and I'll just give my PS4 away. I don't care.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, I'll give it. I don't care. I don't use it. I don't play it. The last game I played on was Warframe. I've been slacking on Mortal Kombat, honestly, so I need to give that a run. I'm on my Xbox, and my 3DS will be more. So, mainly 3DS. But I mean, for most people, they don't need anything. They can come out and just talk about the numbers, talk about how they're going to improve PlayStation TV, because people care about that now. Talk about how awesome the Vita is going to be as a second monitor continuing forward, and how awesome they've done sales-wise, honestly, and thank the people for buying that console for no reason, really. And then show some games. They'll show some third-party games. Like you said, they've got third-party support that'll be doing for them what they were doing for 360 last gen. So that's a good look for Sony, honestly. I mean, I already knew all that stuff. So for me, I wouldn't get anything unless they give me Last Guardian. If they don't give me Last Guardian, or at least like a Siphon filter or something, yeah, I just wouldn't care. It's like, why am I watching this conference? Like, honestly, if I go through that conference and Last Guardian isn't there, I'm just gonna wonder why wasn't I watching? Like, what was the point? I don't understand. Microsoft, they got to knock out the park. There's no other way to put it. It's got to be a home run. You get a triple, you lose. It's got to be out of the park. Nintendo, just show your games. I'm really interested in the PC conference. I want to know what they're going to do with that, honestly.
I forgot to mention that. But yeah, go ahead.
What games they're going to show, and just how the conference is going to work overall. I will be really focused on that, honestly. Bethesda, I'm not watching that because they already told me that Fallout 4 is coming, and I know that. So why would I watch? I don't understand. Like, I know it's coming already. I don't care. Ubisoft's shows at E3 have always annoyed me, so I don't think I'll be watching. The only reason I watched last year was for like Rainbow Six and then Division, and then they completely changed Rainbow to Siege, which I mean, it's got potential.
I'm still not a fan of that.
Yeah, I was loving what I was seeing at Patriots. I want a traditional. I'm hoping that Siege is going to be a traditional Rainbow Six game with the new Siege mode. I don't want it to be Rainbow Six Siege, and that's the only multiplayer mode because I'm not buying it if that's the case because that's not Rainbow Six. The Division, I'm assuming we're going to see more on because that's coming out next year, I believe, right?
Yeah, 2016.
It's officially coming out in 2016, so they got to show us more of that because we haven't seen anything since the last gameplay footage they put out, which amazed a lot of people. But then again, people are easy to amaze nowadays, and they don't learn from the past, like with Watch Dogs and whatnot, and Titanfall and all the other games. Anyway, Ubisoft, I mean, Aisha Tyler's going to be the host. That's awesome. She's funny, so I might watch this because she's funny.
I watch just for her.
Yeah, like I'll watch it because she's there because she's funny and she's very easy on the eyes. So I mean, I'm all for it. And she's a legitimate, and she actually games. You know what I mean? Like she knows games. She has a passion for games, and it comes through when you hear her speaking, like during the conference. Like she's passionate about it. So I mean, that's a good pickup for Ubisoft. I'm just hoping that they offer things behind it that. Like, I'm not going to be sitting there trying to listen to them talk about like exercise games, Cooking Mama, and Rayman and all that for 2 hours, and then 10 minutes of like Rainbow Six in the Division. It can't work that way. You've got to work on that balance, Ubisoft. EA, I don't care. Who else have a conference? I'm missing?
Square Enix.
I apologize. Back to EA. EA, they're gonna show like.
Yeah.
They're coming, but I like sports games, so that's not a bad thing to me. It's just that I don't really need to put a lot of time on it because I know Madden's coming. I know NHL's coming. I'll be playing those games. I know FIFA's coming. I'll be playing that. I'm assuming they're gonna announce something with the MMA title. I'm not sure if they're gonna make a new one this year because I think they said originally their plan was to be every other year, and I respect that if that's what they're gonna do. But we'll see. Mass Effect, I mean, it can't be any worse than what they showed last year, which was nothing, really. So it was just people drawing stuff. We didn't even see completion. It was just like a hand, and then the figure was not done. What? What am I looking at? Oh, Mass Effect for this year, I mean, we'll see. I was the biggest Mass Effect fan in the world after playing 1. And then after playing 2 in the DLC, because I didn't like 2 as much as 1, but the DLC for 2 was amazing. The DLC for 2 was the best. And then I played Mass Effect 3. And I'm no longer considering myself the hugest Mass Effect fan anymore.
Oh,
Mass Effect enraged me. And it was not just 3. It was a transition from 1 to 2 and then 2 to 3. It's not the story or the ending. No. That stuff is fine with me. I was fine with all of that. It's the gameplay. It went from being a hybrid RPG shooter to just being a shooter. I didn't want Mass Effects of War 3. I didn't want that. I didn't want to wall. Why can I wall bounce on Mass Effect 3? Like, why can I wall bounce? This isn't Gears. Didn't make any sense. So we'll see what they do with that. What else does EA have? Oh, Battlefront. I mean, I'm not a Star Wars fan at all. In fact, I hate Star Wars. But Battlefront is just a quality title. So I'll keep my eye on that. We'll see what they do with that. They've already took away some of the things from the traditional Battlefront games that made people love it. So I'm kind of confused as to why. But we'll see. And I'm sure I'm forgetting something from EA. It'll come to me afterward. And yeah, I got nothing for Square Enix. Like, I don't know what they're going to show that I'm going to care about. Another Final Fantasy remake that I don't care about. or Final Fantasy 13-4, or like what are they gonna do? I just don't care.
Yo, don't you want the Final Fantasy 13 collection now on PS4?
You can miss me with all that, right? That's just number one. Versus, or is Versus confirmed to have been completely switched into?
That's 15. That's Final Fantasy 15.
Maybe they'll throw a loophole. Maybe they might option select me and announce like a Final Fantasy Tactics 3. If they do that, I don't care what console it's on. It could be on the Vita. If they announce Final Fantasy Tactics 3 for the Vita, I will go buy a Vita that day. I'm not bullshit. So people get something like that. What else? I mean, that's Final Fantasy isn't the only thing they offer. You might see some Tomb Raider information, right, from them?
Yeah, I'm sure they'll have Tomb Raider there.
So we'll see that. I mean, I don't like the new Tomb Raider franchise. I don't like the new Lara Croft, so I don't really care. But I know lots of you guys do, so that's good. Dragon Quest. There you go. I like that franchise. So I want to see if they're making any announcements about that. I know they just announced something not so long ago, actually. We'll see. But yeah, honestly, I don't really care about Square Enix's conference very much for Bethesda's. Consoles and PC and EA, I guess, and Ubisoft, just because. I mean, for all I know, that I can't even say I was unfair to Ubisoft. Ubisoft's conference actually has improved. Last year's was not anywhere near as bad as it used to be like 5 years ago. Oh my God, their conferences used to be so horrible. So they've really stepped it up. So I apologize. That wasn't fair to me to say. It's just more so like when I watched last year's conference, even with Aisha highlights, a lot of games they were showing, I'm like, I'm not going to play any of these games. Like, why am I watching this? No one, and it wasn't just me. I'm like, nobody wants to play these games. You could have just put a picture on the screen and said, all these games coming too. But here's the meat that you guys have actually been focusing on. So, I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm not expecting this E3 to blow me away, because E3's never blown me away, because I go into it with most of the knowledge what's going to happen, considering I get press releases and stuff like that, because I'm a journalist. So I guess maybe that's what it is. But there used to be a time when E3 was amazing to me, and I think it was just because back in the day, information for gaming was a lot more scarce. Gamers had to actually work harder to get that information. Now that information is readily available, and gamers choose to ignore that information and make up their own information, which makes no sense. Like, you know how easy it is to confirm stuff? But why do that? We can just go on NeoGAF or N4G and just look at people from homeboy.net, jabroni.org, make up nonsense and just go, yeah, that's the truth. Like, this is absurd. So
that's right.
E3's true. I mean, it's true. E3 is mainly a popularity contest, and I'm not saying that to mock it. That's just a reality of the market now. Like, gaming has entered the mainstream, and anything that's mainstream is pop culture related. And if you're pop culture related, congratulations, you're essentially a popularity contest. So you got to do that to make the money. I understand that. And I hope they make that money. Shoot, I mean, it's not as bad as the video game awards.
Oh man.
Yeah, I will definitely be watching E3 just to see what people are complaining about, because I promise you, Twitter and Facebook, it's just going to be tons of people complaining and overhyping like every year. I mean, it's already started to begin actually, so that'll be interesting. And I'll be watching it live. I think Rich and Gary are making an announcement about what the Coalition crew is going to be doing about E3 live and discussion. So, yeah,
definitely. All right, so yeah, I mean, all good stuff. So I'm just gonna keep it brief with what I had to say as far as my expectations. Then I'm gonna say something about the event itself. Bethesda, yeah, Fallout 4 announcement, release date announcement, and I expect that game to come out this year, because as Tony said on the Throwdown, that you're not going to have a conference just to announce a game when you've already announced the game. So I'm expecting to see gameplay, and I'm expecting to hear a release date. As for Dishonored 2 getting revealed, that is a possibility. I will be surprised to see that. I know Doom is going to get announced. I'm going to say revealed, because there's already a beta to beta access for those that bought Wolfenstein: The New Order. They had a card in there that will give them access to Doom when it comes out for the beta. So I expect to see that as well, but I don't think that game is coming out until 2016, much like some of the other games they're probably going to talk about. As for Microsoft, I agree with what we said earlier. I definitely expect them to. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to be surprised now because I was expecting to see Crackdown there. I was expecting to hear about Scalebound some more, but neither game is going to be there. So I'm going to be very surprised, and I don't know what they're going to have. All I know is that Rare franchise or whatever it is that gets announced is supposed to be a big deal. Battletoads will probably get announced. I really don't care about Battletoads, but I want to see what exactly it is that they're going to announce because again, these other two games are massive games, so to move them aside for a later time, that tells me, okay, you know E3 is a huge event. Gamescom is huge as well, but E3 gets a lot more, I think a lot more press coverage than Gamescom in some circles. So, plus the consumers as well. So we'll see about that. Sony conference, Last Guardian, I expect that announcement to be revealed as truth. I don't know what the other studios are working on. I guess we'll find out. But again, I do want to see Siphon Filter make a return. I do want to see God of War 4 get announced because they've already hinted that the next God of War is possibly in development. I mean, I don't know, but I do want to hear more about what exactly that is going to be because, again, story I think is over right now for Kratos, but I don't know what they have planned for that franchise. As for EA and Ubisoft, I do believe that some third-party conferences are going to be disappointing. EA, yeah, we're going to see more Madden, all those sports games, etc., etc. As for what I want to see, of course, Mass Effect 4. I want to see that. We will see some Mirror's Edge since that game is coming out early next year, based on the rumored release dates, sometime in the spring, like everything else. So we'll see about that. Ubisoft, I don't really think they're going to announce Watch Dogs 2 because I think it's still early. I do believe it's time for a Splinter Cell announcement though. So yeah, that's one thing I would love to see.
Oh my God! Sorry for interrupting. Yeah, I agree with that. We need a new Splinter Cell. I agree 100%.
We definitely need that on next gen. But you know, we'll see. What else? PC conference. Well, listen, I did have an announcement to make. I'm gonna go ahead and make that announcement now. I am going to be getting a gaming PC before this summer is over. So I will hope that this is the conference that convinces me, yeah, you're making a wise decision. We'll see about that. I don't know what to expect. Only thing I know is XCOM 2 is only on PC. I don't know anything else that's on that's going to be coming to the PC, so I'm definitely be watching that conference from start to finish. Nintendo, yes, Nintendo is going to have a great show, and last year they had a great show. I recall we watched it when we was at Denny's right before we went to the conference. They're going to have another good show. It provided that, you know, I know that Zelda is not coming out until 2016. If Star Fox comes out, that'll be great. One other little tidbit that I did find out, the makers of Metroid did send out a tweet recently talking about E3. They did not go any further. They just said, see you at E3. So I don't know what that means. I have no idea what that means. They're possibly working on a new game. I don't know if it's Metroid. I've been saying for a while, a new Metroid needs to come to Wii U. That is the only game they don't have on that system yet. So hopefully we get that announcement. I don't know if it's going to happen. It should happen, but again, that's for Nintendo to decide. Since they got the new system coming out, they could very well just push that to, you know, whatever this new console is they're going to release in the next 2 years. We'll see about that. Did I cover everything? Oh, yeah. Square Enix, last but certainly not least, you know, let me go ahead and say this. I'm not really a Final Fantasy fan, and I'm pretty sure a lot of fans don't like to hear that, so I apologize. But Deus Ex, you best believe I'm going to be watching that. That's the game that listen, that's the game that got me ever since that last one. So I'm looking forward to that. Probably won't drop until 2016, and I'm totally fine with that. But I just definitely want to see some gameplay, hear more about it, and see where everything else goes from there. So that's all I have to say about the shows, the conferences rather. As for the E3 show, very much like Gary, I won't be there this year either. So I am going to have a different perspective as to how the experience is. One thing that I don't like about the show in itself, I know that they're opening it up to fans and regular attendees this year. I'm not a fan of that because, in my opinion, the people who actually get to E3 are the ones that deserve to be there because they busted their tail covering games and talking about games, and this is supposed to be an exclusive opportunity for press only to cover stuff. I'm not saying that to just try and, downplay those that are getting in for other reasons, but I'm saying it's supposed to be an exclusive event. But we've seen this change quite a while, because I remember the first E3 we went to all the way up until now, there's been some drastic changes in the way that show operates. Politics involved, all types of stuff that I'm not going to go into, because if I went into that, this podcast will go on for a lot more hours, and we ain't trying to do that. But overall, though, it is a good experience. It's a very humbling experience. I think Edward V said it best last week. It was very humbling to go to that event than to not go to it. It's like, but when you go to it and when you're in that crowd, you feel that energy at these conferences, that's what you go there for. And, of course, the biggest reason of why we had such a great time is because we went there to meet each other. For this site, for those of you who don't know, a lot of us live all over the world. We've got people like Gary who live in the UK, people like Charles that lives in Texas, David lives in California. I mean, we're spread out across the world. So normally when we get an opportunity to get together, it's at these type of events. And more so we go to hang out with each other and interact with each other. So this year, a lot of new people are going to be going there for the site, people who have been on the site for a while, that you guys have seen their stuff. They have an opportunity to go, and I'm glad that they had that opportunity to go. We all can't go because there is a set limit on how many people can get into the event, but it is a great event to go to in terms of building a community, working together as a team. I will miss that this year, but I think the people who are going, they're going to definitely bring you guys some great content. And, of course, we'll be right here as well to bring you guys content all week long as far as all the things that are going down. But as for the event itself, I look forward to talking about it. I mean, this is a very exciting time. If you're a gamer, this is the perfect time to be a gamer. This is like Christmas for everybody right now because there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going to get announced. Some stuff you know about, other stuff you have no idea what it could be. So this is just a fun time for everybody. But that pretty much is all I have to say about E3 2015. For those that are watching and are going to the show, I hope you have an excellent time, get to meet some people, actually go there for networking, because a lot of times people go there just to play games. No, you need to go there and network. If you are really trying to make this a business or make moves in the industry, you got to go out there and network. Otherwise, it is what it is. But for those that are going, I hope y'all have an excellent time. For those of you who are not going and watching, stop by the site because we definitely are going to be watching and talking about it, and we want to interact with the fans who actually are going to be watching too. So definitely stop by the site. But that's it for my rant for right now. Any final words, Gary?
Nope. Bring on the E3. That's it. I'm in full E3 mode right now, so.
Definitely. So that concludes this week's episode of the Co-op Podcast. I know we ran over a little bit, but there was a lot that we wanted to discuss, get off our chest. Hope you guys enjoyed the show.
It's a pre-E3 show. This was going to happen. Everybody knew that.
Oh yeah, this is going to happen. I'm pretty sure. And then there's Charles will probably have another show tomorrow, as you said. He wanted to say some stuff too. So look forward to that. But until then, any final shout-outs? You got any shout-outs, Gary?
Shout-outs to Tony, and because they already left comments on the website. So shout-outs to Tony and Mage. I'm not sure who Mage is, but they left a comment. So shout-outs to.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna shout out Tony real quick too. It's also a call out, and I'm saying this with a preface. Tony, my boy. Tony's my boy. That's a good dude. One of the few gaming journalists that I know personally and actually respect. You know what I mean? I know gaming journalists that I don't respect, and I know gaming journalists that I respect and I don't know. He's one of the few that I know and respect. And I'm going to call him out. It's kind of a joke, though. I'm not really. This isn't serious. So, Tony, I noticed you was real quick to post that Twitter status, about Sony winning the May NPD, though, with no numbers, nothing. You just posted that real quick. But you weren't as prompt posting last month's MPD numbers. Why is that, Tony? Just a good question. You can leave a comment. Actually, don't leave a comment because I don't read comments. Tweet me. You know where to hit me up on Twitter or hit me up on PSN. But no, shout outs to Tony and the Throwdown crew, man. They're doing work over there. Shout outs to Charles, who isn't here. JJ, hardworking man as well. The boy, who did I just hit up on? Was it David who just hit me up on Twitter talking about he's getting ready to leave in 36 hours? He's on his way to drive. So, I mean, that man's excited. I don't know if this is his first C3. I'm assuming since he's that excited.
Yes, it is.
All right, so congrats to him, man. Do work. That man seems he's always working, so that's good. Shout out to people who support the coalition, man. I really appreciate it. The fellas here really appreciate it. Just keep supporting us, man. We'll keep doing this. Shout outs to I guess that's about it. Cap, always working hard as usual. Ed, I guess he came out of retirement and then re-retired on one show. Shut the hell up, man. Get your ass back on the show, man. I know you're busy now and whatnot. Make some time. I'm not saying it's got to be as regular as before, but, hey, you're a pretty entertaining dude. People want to hear you, even with your nonsense and your trolls and the fact that you sound like a clear descendant of Chad Warden. You need to be on the show. Yeah. And yeah, that's it, man. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, and I just want to give final shout outs to, once again, all the team that's going to E3. Shout out to all the fans that continue to support the site. I want to also give a very special shout out to Icon. One thing that a lot of fans probably don't know, back when we were still working on the co-op and trying to come up with a schedule, he was the one that basically encouraged us to do this a lot more on a more weekly status, because before it used to be bi-weekly. So something I got a lot of respect for him saying that, and then us actually sticking to that. So I got to give you props for that, Icon, because that was a great idea, And we hope to get you on a future episode, perhaps after E3, so you can give us your thoughts. But definitely respect and shout out for that. But yeah, that concludes this week's show. We'll talk to you guys again soon. Have a great weekend. Look forward to all the games ahead. And stay tuned for some more stuff on the site.
Peace.
Peace.
Peace.